Well, despite a string of strong economic data and the major stock indexes near record highs, a recent study suggests more and more people don't consider themselves middle class and feel their version of the American dream is moving increasingly out of reach. Hampton Pearson has more.
Washington never stops talking about restoring the middle class. This week, House Republicans pitching their latest budget plan.
Americans continue to ask the question, where are the jobs? And too many middle-class families and small businesses continue to struggle in this economy.
Ditto President Obama on the road in Michigan pushing for a higher minimum wage.
The economy increasingly has folks at the top doing really well, but then middle-class families, people who are struggling to get into the middle class, they're working harder, but their wages, their incomes aren't going up.
But 5 years after the end of the Great Recession and the loss of nearly 9 million jobs, several new surveys find more and more people who believe the middle class is disappearing. From the Pew Research Center in 2008, 53% called themselves middle class. Now it's just 44%, according to a January survey, a 20% drop in just 4 years. Census Bureau data shows a dramatic increase in the wealth gap. The wealthiest 5% of American households seeing a huge increase in income over the last 30 years. And there's even been a spike in those who identify themselves as lower class, according to a University of Chicago survey. Expert researchers across the country say those social standing trends are accelerating to the downside.
Median household income, which is perhaps the best single metric of economic well-being, has not returned to the peak that it had pre-recession. Indeed, it hasn't returned to its peak in 1999. So there's been 15 years of economic stagnation. People live that. They experience that. They also live the growing economic inequality and insecurity that has been a part of the modern economic landscape.
There is an impact on the Main Street economy. People who feel they've slipped from the middle class tend to spend and borrow less.
Today, they are much more sober in their spending habits, and that may indeed have a knock-on effect in an economy about 70% of which is fueled by consumer spending.
Another factor in the erosion of the middle class, long-term unemployment, which actually went up in February by 200,000. There are now nearly 4 million people who have been out of work for 6 months or longer. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Hampton Pearson in Washington.